What is a group of cells that are similar in structure and work together? And that is the tissue. So this is from your textbook. A group of cells that are similar in structure or work together to achieve a particular function forms a tissue. Which is the hardest connective tissue? The hardest connective tissue you have learned is bone. What is the name of the blood matrix? The blood matrix is called plasma. It is an example of a fluid matrix. By what process a permanent tissues are formed? The process is called differentiation. The meristematic tissue or the meristematic cells, they undergo a process called differentiation and then form the permanent tissue. Here is from your textbook. The process of taking a permanent shape, size and function is called differentiation. Two bones are connected by ligament and it is through. Ligaments connect bone to another bone. It is connected by a ligament, which is a connective tissue. What are the two main functions of tissues? Number one, the cells of the tissue perform all the necessary functions of the body. All the functions of the body are performed by the cells of the tissue. This is one. And the cells of the tissue also forms the cells of tissue, they form the structure of the organisms. Draw the structure of the stomata and label it. Now here we have the structure of the stomata. This part is important. Here these are the kidney shaped guard cells. Let me just draw. You got to draw it like this. These are kidney shaped guard cells. The stomata here is within. This is the stomata, the opening. And around it, the cells which are around are just the plant cells. So here you see again we have the guard cells here, and then we have the other cells of the plant. So this is the structure that you need to draw. Write the main functions of the parenchyma. So this is from your textbook. The first function is it provides support to the plants and also stores food. The second function, it contains chlorophyll and performs photosynthesis, and it is called the chlorenchyma. Then in aquatic plants, the large air cavities are present in the parenchyma to give buoyancy to it and helps the plant to float. This is called the aerenchyma. The parenchyma also stores of the root and stem. They store nutrients and water. Remember, it's the basic packing tissue of the plant. So these are the 4 functions. Here you had function 1, Then in the green was of photosynthesis. The chlorenchyma performed photosynthesis. The parenchyma helped in floating, and all the parenchyma help in storage of nutrients and water. What are fluid connective tissues? Connective tissues that have a fluid matrix are called fluid connective tissues. Connective tissues, not just tissues, we have to write connective tissues that have a fluid matrix. Example of this is blood. Blood is a fluid connective tissue. And you know what are just connective tissues? Tissues that connect the different parts of our body. Tissues are tissues that connect different parts of our body. And out of those connective tissues, some have got a solid matrix, that's a bone. Some have got a liquid matrix, that's called a fluid connective tissue. Blood, lymph is another example of fluid connective tissue. What is the difference between voluntary and involuntary muscles? The main difference is from the name. Voluntary muscles are muscles that are controlled by our will. And involuntary muscles that are not controlled by our will. So those which are controlled by our will are voluntary, and those which are not controlled by our will are involuntary. An example of voluntary muscles are that of our limbs, of our hands, of our legs. They're voluntary. Involuntary muscles are those of our heart, of our intestines. We have no control over them. Write a short note on cardiac muscles. The first point, of course, you write about cardiac muscles is they're found in the heart. The next, the muscles of the heart, they show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life. This would be your second point. So then, these are involuntary muscles. And the third point, the cells are cylindrical, they are branched, and they are uninucleate. This is the diagram you will have to draw. So let me go over it. First one, they show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout life. Number two, they are involuntary. Number three, they are structure, cylindrical, branched, uninucleate. Uninucleate means one nucleus only, and they are branched, like you can see in the picture that they have these branches. Draw a diagram of the areolar tissue. This question doesn't usually come, but it's in the textbook. It's in page 76. So this is a label diagram of the areolar tissue. Mention the three elements of the xylem tissue, and the three elements are tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. Of these, the tracheids and vessels are very important. They are called the conducting cells. They conduct the water. And another point to remember here is all the tracheids are dead tissue, are dead cells, except the xylem parenchyma. This is the only living cells. Write a short note on glandular epithelium. Glandular epithelium in the glands aid a special function as gland cells, which can secrete at the epithelial surface. This is not so important, but this is what in your textbook. A portion of the epithelial tissue folds inwards and a multicellular gland is formed. This is glandular epithelium. So you have the normal epithelium like this with these cells here. This glandular epithelium sometimes folds inwards. I've shown it in the explanation. And this folded inward epithelium is called glandular, and this glandular epithelium then secretes some enzymes, so it would secrete some hormones, and it is called glandular epithelium. So when the epithelium tissue folds inwards, this is where it folds inwards, a multicellular gland is formed. This is the gland that is formed. This is called the glandular epithelium. Write 3 significant points of the sclerenchyma. This is on your page 72. The first point is this tissue which makes a plant, it's hard and stiff. And one of the places where it is found is the husk of the coconut. The cells of this tissue are dead, important, they are dead. The second point is they are long and narrow, and the walls are thickened due to lignin. These walls are so thick that there is no internal space inside the cell. And where do we find these tissues? These tissues are found in the vascular bundle, in the veins of the leaves, in the hard covering of the seeds and nuts. They provide strength to the plant. So you've got so many points here to write. I think the important point would be, one is that they are dead tissues. They have this lignin. This lignin point is important. There is no space, internal space inside the cell. And where they are found? They are found in the hard covering here, in the vascular bundle, in the veins of the leaves. With the help of a diagram, describe the phloem. So the first point is the phloem is made up of sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. And the function is to transport food material to other parts of the plant, from the leaves, from the green parts to other parts of the plant. The same thing is repeated here now. The first is made up of 4 types of cells: sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Now, of all these, the sieve tubes and the are tubular cells with perforated walls. Their walls have got holes, the sieve tubes. They are the main cells of the phloem. So another important point is phloem is unlike xylem, and the materials can move in both direction. So remember, in phloem the material can go upwards and also downwards in both directions. This is in phloem. But in xylem the material only goes upwards, water goes only upwards. And the function of the phloem, it transports food from leaves to other parts of the plant. Another very important point in phloem is the phloem is a living cells except phloem fibers. Phloem fibers are only dead. Like here, only phloem fibers is dead, otherwise everything is living. Sieve tubes are living cells, companion cells are living, phloem parenchyma is living. And here is a diagram for the phloem that you need to draw. These are the sieve plates the conducting cells. You have the sieve tubes, the phloem parenchyma, and the companion cells. Draw a label diagram of the nerve cell. So first you need to draw the cell body. This is the cell body in this way. Then you draw your dendrites. These are short branch processes arising from the cell body. And then you draw a single long one. This is the single long one called the axon, which ends up here with nerve endings. And surrounding the axon is this interrupted covering. So this is the different parts of your neuron or the nerve cell. It has, the nucleus is in the center. So you got to name the nucleus, you got to name the dendrite, the cell body, the axon, and the nerve endings. Name the two types of plant tissues. The two types of plant tissue are the meristematic tissue, which produces a similar cells and keeps on dividing, and then we have the permanent tissue. These are the two types of plant tissues. Water hyacinth floats on the water surface. Explain. The water hyacinth floats on the surface of the water due to the presence of parenchyma. It is a modified parenchyma which contains air cavity. This provides buoyancy and helps the water hyacinth to float. Name the two types of vascular tissues. The two types of vascular tissues is the xylem and the phloem. The xylem conducts water and minerals from roots to the parts of the plant, and the phloem conducts food from leaves to all parts of the plant.